We're live.
Hmm? Oh, we're live! So good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on the time zone you are. I'm Cassi. I'm part of Google's university programs team, which is the team that's in charge of university relationships from a staffing perspective. So we look after student outreach and campus recruiting in different parts of the globe, trying to find the next generation of Googlers. I'm specifically in charge of our non-technical positions for Nordic students. Okay, so I'll be hosting this Hangout on air today, and I'm very thankful that you're all here with us, because we also have a few Googlers who are going to be joining us, and they will have the chance to introduce themselves in a minute. In the meantime, I would love to cover today's agenda with you so that we can balance expectations. Okay, so today we're going to be covering first about Google internships. This is a question that we are always asked by students. We will speak a bit about full-time positions for new grads, and the life and how life is for the Nordic small and medium business sales and global customer experience teams. These are the two teams that hire the most new grads within our organization, and you will understand a bit more about that soon. Besides that, we're going to speak about living and working in Dublin, in Ireland, and you will also understand why we'll be focusing on Dublin, Ireland. And we'll share a few CV tips and tricks before then talking about your Google application and how to get it through. Okay, so feel free to use our Q&A session on the Hangout, because we will be coming to them at the end of the Hangout. Okay, so cool. Let's get this started, folks. I will then ask for all our participants to introduce themselves. We have Danni, we have Caroline, and we have Janne joining us today. So if you could just please tell us what your name is, where you're from, and what team you're in, and then we'll take it from there. So we can start with Danni, perhaps, because he's here right beside me.
Hi guys. My name is Danni. I'm working in the Nordic small and medium business team, focusing primarily on helping small and medium businesses make the most out of our products. I'm from Denmark myself, and studied at the Copenhagen Business School.
Cool. And we have also Caroline and Janne. If you could tell us where you're connecting from and what team you are, and tell us a bit about yourselves, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Caroline, and I'm from Sweden. And I'm actually in Sweden right now in the Stockholm office, but normally I work from the Dublin office. And I work in the SMB team, which is small businesses, small and medium businesses. Yeah, and that's who I am.
Hi everyone, my name is Janne, and I am from Bergen in Norway, which is also currently where I'm working from today, as you can see with the lovely weather behind me. I work in the same team as Danni. We both work in the SMB Customer Experience team, so we support the Nordic advertising market with their advertising on Google.
Cool, perfect. Thank you very much for introducing yourselves. We'll get the chance to get to know them a bit more as we lead this conversation, okay? Talking about Google internships, like our internships target mostly students on their second to last year of their studies, okay, regardless of a bachelor's or a master's degree. And we have here right beside me Danni. He just introduced himself, and he actually joined Google last year as an intern.
Correct, yeah.
And then from there he was offered a full-time opportunity. That's why he's here. And I would love you, Danni, to tell us, first, what motivated you to, become a Google intern, what you did during your internship, and how do you feel that prepared you for your current role, please?
Yes. I think the interest sort of came from a general interest and fascination for technology in the beginning. To be honest, I wasn't very much into digital advertising before. Hadn't worked for an agency or worked with any of sort of these digital products before. But I was very fascinated about the culture and sort of the innovation and all of these things that were happening at Google. And I just thought, like, I would love to try it out and see what it was like. And I think
so. You didn't know much about digital advertising, so your role was somehow connected to digital advertising. So no need to know any technical special features or programming languages.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's not necessarily that technical. It can be if you want to, but it was more sort of taking a strategic approach around our products and trying to help customers actually implement it. And that's not necessarily that technical, no.
Cool. And what would be like, a common day during your internship? What sort of things would you be working on?
Yeah, so I think one of the very, very cool things about the internship was that I was basically thrown into it like immediately, more or less. Worked with clients from the beginning, and that's basically the way you learn it. So I was very surprised that I was basically just allowed to go ahead and work with clients directly.
And like those clients were like businesses back in Denmark, is that it?
Yeah, across the Nordics. So Danish, Swedish, and Norwegians, and also a few Finns.
Oh, cool.
So it was very cool. And then I also worked on a project with the team, sort of trying to improve some of our core metrics. So it was not only working with clients, but also sort of helping the team improve on certain things.
Okay, so you had both like a core role that was tightly connected to like dealing with customers on a regular basis, and also like a project that you were working on with your teammates. Yes,
exactly.
Okay, cool.
And that was sort of what prepared me a lot for the role. That was the last part of your question, because I got to work a lot with the clients, which is what I'm doing now all the time, more or less. And I got to understand the product on a deep level, I think. While still also trying to understand what actually drives performance on the team through the project.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Nice. And well, thinking like, let's move now to think about, okay, you did that during an internship. Now you're in a full-time position, just like Caroline and Janne. So I would love to hear a bit from you, girls, about your role and the team you're in. So Danny mentioned some interesting things. This relationship, like this interaction with clients. Small and medium businesses. Like, if you would explain your role for someone who's like not inside Google and has no clue how things work, and perhaps has this mindset that Google is a tech company, it's probably just for the techies. Like, how would you explain the key characteristics of your team, Caroline?
The characteristics of my team, or the actual job?
Yeah, first how your team is organized and what sort of things you do, and then your job within it.
Okay, so I work in sales with small and medium businesses, which means pretty much there's so many companies in Sweden that try to find new customers every day. And that is really my goal, to help them to find as many customers as possible, to help them navigate within all the products that Google has, because there's a lot of them and it can be confusing. So my job is really to reach out to different companies, and it can be retail companies or it can be B2B companies. And I really help them with their online strategy. So how can they find more and new interactions with people online? And what I think is really cool is that I get to learn so much about different industries. It's not just, this is retail, it's so many different ones. So I constantly get challenged, and that's what also makes me know the products so well, because there's so many different things you can do with them. And my team, we are about 10 people that are working in these kind of companies in Sweden, and they're amazing, all of them. We help each other out. There's really a good team spirit, I would say, and we also hang out after work a lot. So yeah, please come into
Cool. And Janne, sometimes when students ask me, okay, what is the life, working with small and medium businesses, what is exactly that I'm going to do? Quite often to try to make it clearer, I tell them that, normally businesses that size, they don't have the resources to have their own like corporate marketing officer, or they don't really know what online advertising is all about. What sort of, solutions, or like how does your team help these, small and medium businesses, within the Nordics to get their voice out there online? And so if you could put that into context on what your team does and what your role is, that would be great.
Yes. So the major difference between my team that works more in services versus Caroline's team in sales is that our support is more reactive rather than proactive. So any customer with Google has opportunity to contact us either through phone or email or chat, and we then help them troubleshoot any issues they might have with their advertising. But we also, and most importantly, we act as a consultant for them. So we would ask them about what are their goals and give them advice on what is the best way that they can achieve the goals that they have for their business, and what are the optimal advertising solutions that we have for them. So it's a very two-sided job. On the one side, you do troubleshooting, and on the other side, you're also acting as a consultant. And I think one major benefit in this role is that you get extremely good product knowledge. And not only will you learn AdWords very, very in depth, but you also become very familiar with all the other Google products that Google has to offer, such as Analytics and Google Shopping and so on. So both the product knowledge and how to deal with customers is two of the key things in this role.
Mm-hmm. And what would a typical day look like on your role?
Yeah. So a typical day, I probably spend a couple hours on incoming phone support, and advising anything from small or medium-sized businesses on whatever issues or questions they have regarding their advertising. Some of it is via email, so we'd also help them on email or on chat. Also, part of the day, after a while in the role, you also have the opportunity to work on other projects internally. So after time, you then choose which areas you're more interested in, and you can start working on different projects. So you also get to spend some time doing that, which is really a fun part of the job.
Oh, definitely it is. Cool. And talking about fun part of the job, there is Google has a program that's tailored specifically for people who join the small and medium business team, right? So it's named the Business Associate Program. And basically every associate account strategist, when they join the team, they get into this program, right? Caroline, I would like to hear from you, what was the added value for your professional development of belonging to this program?
I think it's a great opportunity to get away a little bit from just like your normal thinking, to expand. Oh, can you guys see me? Yeah, okay. No, but the thing is,
Cool. Caroline is muted now. So let's get Caroline, you're muted. Oh, and I think you're back.
No, she's still muted.
Oh, you're still muted. Okay, so maybe I'll get Janne, as she's still with us. I'll get Janne answering this question, and then I'll get Caroline back to check the next one. Is it okay, Janne?
Yeah. No problem at all. I've also been doing the Business Associate Program since I started a year and a half ago. And one of the best things about the Business Associate Program is the different classes or the trainings that we get during it. Every quarter we've had at least a day where we go and have a full day of training, and this is to develop our personal skills. So it's not specifically product training, but it's more about our leadership skills or presentation skills, or more aspects of personal development and growth. So I find they've been really useful and a good additional training that we get to have.
So the program is focused on both, like helping you develop hard skills on digital marketing and online advertisement, and at the same time, like develop some soft skills like those that you mentioned.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. Cool. That's I was just wondering here while I was listening to you, telling a bit about your careers and what you've been doing here at Google. Considering this is the most common entry-level position, so whoever has just left school and wants to apply for a job at Google, this is one of the most common positions for non-tech professionals. Why do you think, Danni, this goes for you, why do you think this is a great place to start your career, joining the global, the small and medium business team?
I think one of the key benefits of starting in small medium businesses is that you get so much product exposure and so much customer exposure. You really have a lot of interactions, and you learn continuously. And there is so much support that goes into developing your personal skills, but also your product knowledge. And that is something that I value a lot, and that I know that other parts of the organization is also valuing afterwards when you want to do something else at some point. And yeah, I think that's really a key thing, and you get to work in teams that are sort of very much similar to yourself in certain ways. So you quite quickly get to feel like you have a home, and a safe environment to experiment and try stuff out. And I think that's very important when you start fresh out of university.
Yep.
In your career. And I feel like I've been here for a year now, and my learning curve has been insane. I think. So yeah, I've been very happy with where I started. Yeah.
Cool. And you mentioned during what you said, that you said that like you gain an asset, like a set of skills that are quite useful, for your future. Quite often, like when I meet students on campus, they ask me like, oh, what sort of career advancement or career paths can we follow? And I always find it very interesting to answer this question, because it always depends on you, right? On what the student is interested, what they want to develop skills in. Google does offer you some career paths that are most common when you look, about like history and the numbers that we've had. For instance, one common path is for you to grow with your clients, and you start looking after, bigger accounts. And you can even move to your home country's office, and then be working with clients from there. This is one thing that we see quite often, right, on our teams. Yeah. So like people, working with the Danish market, then moving to our Copenhagen office, or like with the Swedish market, moving to our Stockholm office, having started here in Dublin within this team. So this is something that's important to highlight. Like internal mobility is something that's definitely very encouraged. I myself have gone through this as well. I started in another office, now I'm based here in Dublin. So I think it's something that's really, it's a great opportunity that Google offers to everyone. And speaking of Google Dublin, this is the moment that we move, and we're going to focus a bit more about life here. So why are we speaking so much about Google Dublin, and why all this buzz around Ireland? So this is where we have our headquarters for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So Google is not alone here. People claim that Dublin is the Irish equivalent of Silicon Valley, and the region, the neighborhood where Google is actually, some people nickname it as the Silicon Docks, because it's the area where we formerly had our docks here in Dublin. And Google's presence here has been growing a lot lately, and it's not just by chance that we're here talking to you, because we're of course hiring, the teams are growing. And this place is bursting with startups, as well as other European headquarters for lots of other tech companies. If you just do some research, you're going to find it, you're going to be impressed with how many companies have their operations here. And Dublin is one of our major regional sales offices. So there is a big bunch of Googlers here doing like this job for the whole Europe, Middle East, and African regions. And I wanted to hear from the three of you. So now, apparently, Caroline has her audio back, so she could be a good one to start. Although you're in Stockholm right now, as you just told us, if you could tell us a bit of what you enjoy the most, about working here in Dublin.
Well, first of all, it was so easy to actually move there. I moved from Sweden before, and I worked a little bit in the US, and I was a bit worried, because there's so many things that you need to prepare. You need to get like a new apartment, and so many things before you're settled in. But what I found when I came to Dublin was that Google has such an experience with bringing people over here that they helped me out a lot. I felt like within a few weeks, I felt settled in. I know where I'm going grocery shopping. I know where I'm doing this. And I could really focus on my job and my new friends. Mm-hmm. So the transition was very, very smooth.
That's great to hear. That's very good. What about you, Janne? How was it for you?
No, the same. Dublin is a very easy city to settle into. You get very well taken care of by by your team at work. You get a lot of help finding accommodation. And the environment, both like at work and in Dublin, is a very international environment. You have a lot of other people in the same situation as you, coming to Dublin and starting a new job or settling in there. So in that sense, the moving to Dublin process is really smooth, like Caroline said.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then lots of people, like there are lots of myths around, the Google working environment and how Google Office is like. When students get the chance to visit an office, they normally get just like, whoa, they go crazy. What are the features here in our office that you are personally very, very fond of?
Yeah.
And if you can share a bit of your experience here.
No, I think, I first of all agree a lot with what was just said, but I think to comment on the facilities, I'm still amazed, and I've been here for a year. I mean, one of the things that I use a lot is, of course, the gym, but also the pool. So I'm an ambitious triathlete.
Oh, cool.
And that's where, the working environment is fantastic here, because you have the free food. I don't have to take care of that myself. And it's good free food. Mm-hmm. Another thing is that you have the gym and you have the pool, and it just creates an environment where being ambitious in other parts of life is very easy. A lot of things are taken care of by the company. And
so gym and pool and free food, you can balance them out.
Yes, I try. And I think Dublin in itself, when it sort of is outside Google, is also something that has definitely grown on me. I think it's an interesting city, and there's a lot of international companies here, a lot of international people from all over EMEA, which makes it very exciting. But also, when you go outside of Dublin, there is a very nice countryside, a lot of mountains, and the West Coast is so beautiful.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned something that I would mention myself. The countryside here in Ireland is just definitely one of my highlights. I love Dublin is an easy city where you can just escape once in a while. Mm-hmm. And go, and the countryside is just incredibly beautiful for hiking. If you're into this sort of stuff, it's just amazing. Yeah. But well, moving on, because that's not just about tourism that we're going to be sticking here. We're now going to focus a bit more on the moving piece, actually. So moving to a new place is always exciting. Can bring a lot of nervousness, right? Because there's so much you have to think of. But Google does offer relocation support. I was wondering how your experience was, Caroline. You just mentioned, for instance, that you were actually in the United States when you moved into Ireland to work for Google here in Dublin. So Swedish citizen in the US coming to Ireland, how was this whole process for you? And how did Google help you?
Well, and like I said before, it was much easier than I thought, because I was on the other side of the world, and I felt, I need to plan so many things, but it wasn't that much really. I had to, find my flights, obviously, but then when I arrived, Google helped me setting up a bank account. They helped me, finding my way around, and they arranged also, trips so you can discover the city, and everything was just. I don't know. If I wondered anything, I could always ask somebody. Yeah, much easier. I felt like, this was easier than my move to the US.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an impression that lots of people share with us. That in the end, that you can count on peer support much more than you actually expect at first. And Janne, when you just told us that you're joining actually from home, right? So right now you're home in Bergen. Tell us a bit, do you travel home often? How do you handle this, being far from family and friends, being based here in Dublin, but now you're there. So share a bit of your experience in that sense with us, please.
Yes. So being able to travel home is, of course, really important for me, so that you can go home and see friends and family. And I travel home usually I try to do at least once a quarter. And with my job, we luckily have the flexibility to work from home if necessary. So as long as you give good notice in time, then it's not a problem to work from home for a couple of days, which makes it possible for me to do a long weekend at home. Go home on a Wednesday, work from home Thursday, Friday, and come back again after the weekend. So in that sense, it makes it really easy to travel home. But you can also, if you're from a city where there's a Google office, You can always work from a different Google office anywhere you want as well. So it's really amazing that we have that flexibility.
And it's also very convenient because then you don't need to cook, right?
Yes.
Working for some other Google's office. That's definitely one of my favorite parts, to be honest. If I'm traveling around and I can just, I can pop in here and get the work done from this place. And besides, of course, counting on all the tech resources that we have, the video conference rooms and the whole environment. I can hear some footsteps here because we are being joined by Derek from the Google Staffing Programs team. So Derek, come on over. So what's happening now is that Derek's here with us. Derek recruits Google interns. So he's definitely someone who lots of you would be interested in getting to know a bit more and also understanding his role and his job. So Derek, if you could share a bit of, where you're from, what team you're in, a quick summary of your job, that would be great.
Absolutely. So, hi guys, my name is Derek, as Cassie says. I'm an intern recruiter. Actually, I should go back a bit. I'm actually from Dublin. I live 20 minutes from here on the train. I don't know if it's already been mentioned, but the train is literally right beside the office here in Dublin.
Oh yeah, we didn't mention that.
Really convenient. Really convenient. So as I said, I'm an intern recruiter. I look after the Nordics, UK, and Ireland. Just in terms of the team itself, we sit within the university programs team along with Cassi. And yeah, so just the recruitment side of things, obviously the majority of the role is obviously an awful lot of recruitment, but we do actually look after a lot of programs, which is really cool. We get to meet the actual interns, we get to meet the candidates a lot more face-to-face, and it's a really good side of the job as well.
Okay, cool. And when I'm on campus, I'm asked, probably that's one of the most asked questions, is how does the selection process work? Okay. So I think you would be the best person on earth to explain us a bit more how it works. And I see you have some images as well to share.
Absolutely fine, yeah.
Okay.
So just in terms of the interview process for an internship, okay, because it can slightly change obviously between the full-time and an internship. So we usually have 2 phone interviews for the internship, one with the hiring manager and one with someone on the team as well. And then we usually go straight to offer stage after that. So it is quite a quick turnaround with the internships. It can slightly vary. Different teams prefer phones, some teams prefer Hangouts as well, so they can actually meet face to face, so to speak. And they're usually around 30 minutes long. Okay. So with the full-time offers, the actual recruitment stage, as I said, it's that bit longer, which isn't surprising, obviously, for a permanent offer. So there's usually 2 phone interviews, like phone screens at the start. So that's usually by the recruiter and the business as well. So someone from the team will do a phone screen at the start. If you're successful there, we'll move on to on-site interviews. So obviously you'll come over to Dublin and you'll do 3 to 4 on-site interviews. They'll usually be back-to-back. So once you're successful at that stage, we move on to what we call the committee review stage. So this is where we put all your information together from the actual interview feedback we have, and we basically put a packet together to management to try and prove, obviously, that you're the right person for the role. Once we get past that stage, we move on to the offer stage as well.
Which is the most exciting part.
Exactly, absolutely. Yeah. So just in terms of the actual opportunities that we have, you can get more there on the links. So there's one obviously for just a general student, one for the graduate roles, and there's more for the internships as well there. Okay. Cool.
And if you missed those links, don't panic, because on the Hangouts or on the YouTube, no matter where you're following us, you will find right underneath the links to apply. Okay. So cool. So since you're here, we also wanted to ask you about CVs and the application process. You on your role certainly you see dozens of CVs on a daily basis, and students are quite curious normally about what are the most common mistakes, or what sort of tips would you share with them to have a really flawless application?
Okay, so possibly I'll do a couple of do's and a couple of don'ts maybe. So I definitely encourage you to all students to not only emphasize the role that you do, it's important to emphasize the accomplishments as well. So if you do work in a sales role, give us an overview of your targets on a weekly basis. A bit more information there. Obviously we can all understand from the actual CV, what you do, but I suppose what your achievements were in the role as well is really important. And that sort of brings me on to the next point, is to use metrics and data as much as possible. So, if you did hit a sales target, again, just as an example, what was the target? How much did you hit it by? How often? Things like that. We love to see that. Something else is, it goes without saying, obviously, even spelling, attention to detail is really, really important for any role here. One thing I'd say, try not to do as much as when you are giving us an overview of the actual role that you did, break down, be very clear. Let's not just have a paragraph of an overview. We look through so many CVs, and even on a daily basis, that we really just need to see the CVs that get to the point. The CV is, the first impression it makes on us. We don't have time to sit there for 5 minutes reviewing every CV. We just don't have capacity. It's just not possible with the amount of applications we get. So just get to the point rather than paragraphs. So some bullet points should be fine as well.
A few students last week when I was on campus, a few students asked me, like, Cassi, Google is such an innovative company. I just expect that you expect our applications to be super creative and colorful, like crazy, jumping, like doing backflips. Should students worry too much about how the way their application looks, or should they focus much more on the content and this sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the content is more important, Cassi. Really, and I mean, you don't want to. I mean, you don't want anything that looks over too fancy, so it distracts from the great work that you've done, or the great degree or masters you might be doing, and we might miss that because there's something that's really distracting us. So we prefer just to, as I said, just to get to the point and make it clear and concise.
Okay, less is more.
Absolutely, yeah, perfect.
Good to hear that. And what about the interview? So, if their CVs are good enough, you're going to be calling them, you're going to be, inviting them for an interview. What would you say are the most common mistakes that people commit during an interview, or if you have any, tips there?
Yeah,
definitely be appreciated.
Absolutely. So, tips-wise, what I would say is it's really important to do your research, and that's really twofold. I think the research of the role of the team is really important. Obviously, your recruiter will probably provide you, with an overview of the role, potentially the job description as well, of course. But it's up to you to obviously do that research, and there's going to be plenty of information online as well. So just not to forget that as well. Not only research the team and the role, researching our products obviously is really important as well. I'm not really talking as much about Gmail or our latest phones or anything like that. I'm really talking about the likes of AdWords. AdWords is huge for an awful lot of roles within SMB and the graduate level roles. So again, that's just an example of somewhere else that I would focus on. In terms of answering questions, I think that the best way to answer questions is to think about the STAR technique. It's something that we really try and promote. So it's a situation. So when you are providing try and provide an example as much as possible when you are asked questions. So again, the STAR technique is the situation you're in, the task you had, the action you did, and the result. Okay, so it's really good to get a background of what you did in a certain role and how you did it.
Perfect. Okay. I love your answer because that actually tackles our most upvoted question from the participants. Okay. From Erika Fredriksson. She asked, how can you best prepare for interview? Should you qualify for an interview and stuff? So I guess you answered the question. I would add one thing, if that's really the top as a question. Practice, right?
Absolutely.
Practice makes perfect. So what I sometimes tell students, why not applying to a job you're not interested in, just to get your muscles flexed, and you get used to being asked questions you were not prepared for. What sort of questions are frequently asked during an interview. Do you, Danny, have any other tips for that you would suggest to your friends?
Yeah. I mean, I've just recently started to do interviews for the team, and I think one of the things that are always very nice to see in a candidate is if they're able to provide a very structured argument with examples, because that makes it very easy for us to give feedback afterwards and tell why was this candidate so good, why was the candidate not so good. So I think definitely, as Derek just mentioned, those are very Like that really, those 4 letters, keep those in mind. Situation, task, action, and result. Because that makes it very easy for us to understand what you did and what the outcome was, and that's very important to Google.
And of course, be yourself. This is something that people sometimes get so nervous when they're going to need to read, like, what will they expect me to say? You know, what am I supposed to do? Just be yourself. That's definitely the best strategy, because it's the one that it's gonna, you know, channel your energy in the most constructive manner. We have Leo asking a question that was also partially answered, but I believe we can dig deeper if needed. So he said, like, could you provide us with a little more information about the application process? Are there tests? And if there are, what can we expect? Moreover, could you tell us a bit about how the interviews are structured? Lastly, what do you look for in a CV? So you asked a lot of questions in one question. That's probably why you were upvoted, because I'm pretty sure everyone is interested in knowing all that. What I think is important here is to demystify the process, because he's asking about any tests. So what should students expect during an interview in terms of, like, will they be tested? Will they have to provide a business case? Will they have to be doing something online? How does it work?
I'm just gonna, it's no. It's a no for tests, okay? Not an internship level, not a graduate level. There won't be any specific tests. So I mean, the interviews themselves will focus on 4 different areas. We'll have what we call a general cognitive ability. You know, it's really, there'll be no right or wrong answers. Again, it comes back to using those examples as much as possible. It's really how you think. The next part will be looking over leadership. That will be the second part. They'll be testing in terms of asking questions. Role-related knowledge will be another factor that will be asked. So how your experience actually is relevant to the role, is relevant to the team, Google in general, I suppose, as well. And the last part is the one that I suppose it's the hardest to explain. It's Googliness. It's what makes you different. You know, it's how you might be a fit to the team, and to Google overall. You know, it's more about your personality.
And what makes you stand out? I normally tell students is like, we're very focused on finding people who have other passions, who pursue passions besides their work, because definitely we're not looking for the next, you know, typical workaholic to be hired here by Google. Definitely not. Like, so tell us, you know, what drives you crazy, what makes you go mad, you know, what is something that you're really passionate, because that's the sort of fuel that keeps us going here as well. Nice. I will go now with a question by Martin. He's asking, and I'm gonna give this out to the girls. I hope they are prepared for a question that was not rehearsed. Let's see. What do you think is most fun or rewarding about working at Google?
Should I start, or should you?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
The most fun thing about work, I would say there's many things, but of course my colleagues, most of all, because I feel like when I'm going to the office, I feel like at home. It's not like a bad feeling. We're having so much fun together, which makes the day just fly by. And also, I think because I feel like I'm making a difference, since we're not working with that big companies. Like, everything you can advise them, and you feel like you're really helping companies, and that's, for me, that's really important.
What about you, Janne?
Yeah. So usually my first top thing I would say there is definitely my colleagues as well. We work with really incredible people. But the other thing that I then would like to mention is the variety in the work that we do. Like, no day is usually the same. You speak to so many different types of customers with different types of goals and business needs, and also you get to work on different projects depending on what you're interested in. So it makes the variety in the work really, really exciting, and there's always a new challenge. So that keeps you going.
Yeah, I could second that. Cool, thank you. I'm going to the last question here because I'm very cautious of time, and this one comes from Mandy. I'm gonna take this one to myself. So, is it seen as an advantage to have more than English as a spoken language on your CV for Google? Mandy, yes, that is for sure. So here during this Hangout, we're focusing on the Nordic market. So, you know, these folks here are working with businesses and speaking on a daily basis, either Norwegian or Danish or Finnish or Swedish or Icelandic, perhaps. And but it's important to consider that just as much as we have Danish clients, we also have Dutch clients, and we have, you know, Japanese clients. So we need to provide all of them, you know, a great level of service. So the more languages you speak, the merrier, always, in every profession in the 21st century, but definitely, especially here at Google, okay? So if people are bilingual among Nordic countries, Nordic languages, that's a plus that definitely we take into consideration. Or even if you speak another language that's not related to the Nordics, you know, this will definitely be important, and this will definitely count on your application. So don't forget to mention and to highlight your language skills when you apply for a job at Google, okay? Derek and I, sometimes we stumble upon some applications where students forget to mention what their language skills are, and we are just not supposed to be guessing, you know, what language you speak just based on where you studied or something like this. So very, very good question, Mandy. Definitely, yes, that does make a difference. So do highlight that on your application. Perfect. So we are now on the last couple of minutes of our Hangout. So this is time to wrap up. Time flew for me. I don't know how it felt for you. I think it was a very informative session. So I want to thank from the bottom of my heart, Danni here, Caroline connected, Janne, Derek for joining this Hangout. We have Sean also connecting from Atlanta office. So if you were asking yourself, who's this guy? What is he doing? So he's just helping us with from the technical side of things to make sure everything runs smoothly, and it did run. So thank you very much, Sean. And a big thanks to all the viewers that we had for this Hangout on air. Remember, if you think a colleague of yours should have watched this but they missed, no problem. Like, the link's going to be available on YouTube forever, hopefully. And you can check all the links to apply for jobs or internships down here. I've always dreamt of like doing something like this. It's on the screen as well. So you can find on either those links, like either full-time or internship opportunities within Google. So just use those links, and we can't wait to see your applications. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.